Welcome, my CryptoComics compatriots. How you doing today? I'm Matt.
I'm Cadence.
We're about to review Masters of the Universe Revelation. So, Sean asked us if we would start doing more reviews, so this one's for you, man. You watched the originals, right?
When I was 6.
All right, so when I was a kid growing up, back in the 80s, there was He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. It was an epic cartoon following Prince Adam, who became He-Man. The only people who knew about it was Man-at-Arms, Orco, and
His mom?
And the mom. And Cringer, but Cringer became Battle Cat, so, you know, he kind of had to know.
I'd be a little concerned if he didn't.
Yeah. Tila, though, never knew.
Yeah.
Nobody knew really outside of He-Man, and there was kind of random adventures against characters like Skeletor, Roboto, Trapjaw, just a whole bunch of, Merman and everything. So it was a kind of standalone show where each episode had kind of a moral theme to it.
Yeah.
But this one, now Kevin Smith teamed up with Netflix and Mattel, I should say, to release Masters of the Universe Revelations. Now, right away, you can see there's a huge difference.
There's no He-Man.
No He-Man in the title. About a week before that it came out, there were rumors about, they're going to kill off He-Man.
Yeah, they killed him off in the first episode. So, there is no He-Man.
Well, there is.
He's somewhere between like a cameo and a character.
Yeah, he's pretty much a cameo. So it starts out with, should we go into the story, I guess?
Sure, why not?
Okay. Mark Hamill's Skeletor, which, by the way, Mark Hamill, epic as a villain. I want to see him as more villain roles. He famously played the Joker, now Skeletor. Yes. Thank you. Okay. So he goes to take over Castle Grayskull. So Skeletor gets to finally take over Castle Grayskull. Now, one thing I remember from, I believe it was a Batman comic years ago, where somebody said Batman has to win every time. The Joker only has to win once. And this is one of those cases where the Joker finally wins. In this case, it's Skeletor. Finally wins. So it was actually cool to see what happens when the villain wins. This is all in episode 1. We learn a little bit about the history of Eternia kind of through this story. But yeah, in the end, He-Man, played by Chris Wood, dies.
Episode 1.
I wasn't sad about that personally because
you knew it was coming.
I did. I knew it was coming. Even though right away, everybody was like, no, He-Man's not going to die. It's Masters of the Universe. And I was like,
there's no He-Man in front of it.
Yeah. Well, not just that. It's something I would expect Kevin Smith to do, just to kind of flip it on everybody.
It's a mean move, Kevin.
I was fine with it. Going into it, knowing that he was going to die, I was fine with it.
If you didn't know he was going to die and you didn't know who was the director.
If I had no idea he was going to die, yeah, I probably would have lost my mind.
Exactly. That's a mean move, Kevin.
Okay. So the story, this whole series, more focuses, at least part 1, on Tila. Played by Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Episode 2 starts off with Tila and what's her name?
Andrea. Andrea was also just a throwaway character from the comic books.
Yeah. It's, I think, 3 years later, and they're basically scavengers. People pay them to go find objects and stuff, mostly magic relics, I'm assuming.
Now, at this point, magic is
Pretty much gone.
Because of what Skeletor does. He breaks open this orb, and that orb holds all the magic in Eternia. So now it's fading away, essentially.
Yeah, it's gone. But then this old lady approaches them, and it turns out to be Evelyn in disguise. I almost said Evelyn there. Evelyn in disguise, and Evelyn and the sorceress were trying to get Tila back to come basically save the magic, which Tila at that point had turned her back on it.
Which was kind of weird. Evelyn being, famously the Skeletor's girlfriend, and so she was evil in the name. And then the sorceress, kind of the heart of Eternia. Obviously good, so it was kind of interesting to see them team up. And you didn't find out that they're teaming up until Cringer actually makes an appearance. And he's like, whoa, hold up.
It's like, don't run away yet. We still need you.
So at this point, you find out that the He-Man sword was actually made up of two swords. One was forged in hell, and one was forged in heaven. And when they were put together, He-Man got the power.
So He-Man had the power of heaven and hell at his fingertips. Don't laugh.
It's one way to look at it. I never thought about it that way. Okay, so at this point, Man-at-Arms is banished.
Yeah.
You got Roboto and Trapjaw, who are taking over kind of the techno side of everything. As you guys might remember, the original Eternia was made up of kind of sorcerers as well as more techno geniuses.
Yeah.
So it was a good combination of the two. Now magic is fading, so
something has to rise to take its place.
Yeah. They all set out to get the swords, which have returned back to both heaven and hell. And
that's something I didn't understand, is how they got back there.
When the sword broke back into two, they returned to just magic, returned it to where it came from.
Oh, okay.
Triclops, played by Henry Rollins, is actually the guy who is in charge of all the techno wizardry, I should say.
The mother box juice?
Yes.
There's no other way to describe it.
The motherboard juice.
Motherboard juice, mother box juice.
That was a little weird.
It's black and green juice.
Yeah, it kind of had a Matrix feel to it. When you drank it, it turned you into a
that was weird.
Cyborg.
It was weird.
But you know what? It's Masters of the Universe. It happens.
It's an 80s cartoon, man.
He's kind of a bad guy. Kind of shows up throughout a few times, but so now they're on their way to the entrance to hell, and they have to go through. They have to pass over the ocean, where we get a great cameo from Merman.
Batman.
Yeah.
I'm so happy.
So Merman is played by Kevin Conroy, who does the voice of Batman. That was it threw me off a little bit, because with the scenes where Skeletor was there and Merman, it was like I just heard Batman and Joker, so that kind of threw me a little bit.
Yeah. No, those few moments where I'd space out because they'd talk too long or something, and it's just a scene can't drag on too long.
Mm-hmm.
They would start talking wait, what?
So they go to hell and they meet the king of the underworld, Tony Todd.
He looks like Skeletor, man.
They do actually kind of make a joke about that.
Yeah.
Now, Tony Todd is famous as Candyman, and he's got that voice that he's the king of hell.
Says the fangirl.
Yeah. I'm a huge fan. What can I say? They have to go kind of face their biggest fears, which we learn a lot about various characters. Tila, kind of her biggest fear.
Which, that one threw me a bit, but it does make sense.
But I think what was best about this episode, and correct me if I'm wrong, Orco and Evelyn actually have a really good kind of heart-to-heart.
Oh, absolutely.
It was, in my opinion, kind of the highlight of the series.
Not only that, but that scene in itself was relatable to some scale. Like, it's, if you watch the show, like, if you've had to have that conversation with someone, or if someone had to have that conversation with you, like, it just makes sense to have that be what was holding him back.
Yeah. So Orco, he was always one of my favorite characters in the original He-Man. Always one of my favorite characters. But the whole thing about him is the magic, everything he did would screw up. And we kind of found out why. And his real name.
It's Oracle, which makes sense.
It really does. It made sense. It was actually really, really good. But his conversation with Evelyn, or Evelyn as you like to keep calling her.
On accident, man.
In the end, they get the sword that was forged in hell.
Yeah.
And then make their way to heaven.
Which is such a cliche, man.
How so?
You work so hard in every book, or movie or show or whatever. They work so hard, and they figuratively go through hell, and then figuratively again get to heaven, where like everything is like better and good. The hero's journey, right?
Yeah.
All right. I was hoping I didn't mess that up. But in this one, it's literal. They're going through hell to get to heaven, and it's its own thing.
So they had to make sacrifices along the way.
Yeah.
Which was really cool because one of the characters really came into their own at that point, and it was great to see.
I didn't like how everyone pointed fingers at Evelyn though, at that moment.
Okay, so once again, the sacrifice. Yeah. The next episode starts with the final episode starts with the funeral. And
He-Man is back. Adam, not He-Man.
Prince Adam, yes. It turns out heaven is reserved in this one only for those who have held the power.
Yeah.
So we see He-Man, we see King Grayskull, all of the it was actually really cool.
And one sorceress.
Yes, one she was known as the priestess.
The priestess.
Yeah, I like that. Well, I didn't like the fact that it was reserved only for them, but
yeah, that seems a little one-sided.
Yeah, except Mossman was there.
Well, he did kind of help in that. Not final battle. Is it a final battle or is it the beginning battle?
The final battle in episode 1.
Yeah, there we go.
But Mossman was actually voiced by the original Skeletor, so it was really cool to see him come back. I enjoyed that.
I didn't know that.
Well, now you know.
The more information I know.
Alan Oppenheimer.
Alan, who to what?
Alan Oppenheimer. That's the voice actor who originally played Skeletor. Now plays Mossman.
Oh.
So Mossman is there, and he kind of gives Orco's grave just a little piece of his home, which he's not from Eternia. So it was kind of cool to see.
Yeah.
So then they go on to explain why Prince Adam is in his mortal form instead of the all-powerful form of He-Man.
Not yet. They do kind of have this weird little race to, what was it, a panther that they were all chasing?
Just a creature.
It was some weird creature. And that's when you meet King Grayskull. And he's like, well, the only way out of heaven is through my tower up there.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to go up to this tower, but they need to combine the swords. So the group kind of splits off in two.
Now, everybody that's there, as we said, had at one point in time held the power of like He-Man. So the original was King Grayskull.
Yeah.
And then you also have some other, the initial designs for the Sorceress and He-Man, which was kind of like this Conan the Barbarian type character, which was kind of cool to see.
It was.
But they explained that Prince Adam was the only one who chose his lesser form, as they call it, while he's in heaven. And the reason for that was he was always Adam first, which I thought was kind of cool.
That is. It always really showed where his priorities lie. Where if he did have to make that choice, he would make, like, in my opinion, he would have made the opposite choice of most heroes. He would be willing.
So I think it was Prince Adam that made him the hero.
Yeah.
And He-Man just gave him the power to do it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Prince Adam had the sword
Yeah.
in heaven, and he freely gives it to Tila.
He also thought there was no way out of heaven.
True.
So he's just like, here's the sword, you're kind of stuck now.
Mm-hmm. Then they go on to reforge the sword.
Yeah. The reforging of the sword was both sad and, like, really cool, because it kind of had that feel like you saw the two swords in their true form.
Mm-hmm.
And then they got put together, and then it was the sword.
Roboto
died.
Roboto died in order to reforge the sword, and Roboto was played by Justin Long. Justin Long has been in a bunch of Kevin Smith's movies in the past. Zack and Mary, along with Jane Silent Bob reboot, along with that walrus one that I'm going to try to forget. It was that bad. Back to life. So now they got to get back to life. So they also find out that if you leave heaven,
you can't get back.
Yeah, you're kind of stuck in the mortal realm, and if you die at that point, you're worm food.
I'm a little confused about that part. Is it like in general if you leave heaven, or if it's only the dead who leave heaven?
Well, the only people allowed in heaven are those five, Mossman too, that have held the power of Grayskull. So,
but there was.
It sounds like Tila, Andrea, and Orco, none of them will ever get to heaven, according to the show.
But
That's depressing.
Yeah. The way the show is going, though, it does feel like Tila is going to be the one who gets the sword.
Okay, so after that, they go to Castle Grayskull, and they do have a portal back to Eternia. At that point, Adam chooses to actually go. He chooses to leave heaven, and if he leaves, he's done. Not allowed back. But he does in order to kind of protect his friends.
Yeah, he leaves and dies.
Well,
immediately.
So, yeah, they have the sword that's reforged. All he has to do is say the words, because, I mean, he's got the sword, it's all reforged. He says the words, that'll bring all the magic back to Eternia, and he starts it.
What?
He starts it.
Okay.
He starts to say the words, and then it turns out Skeletor didn't die.
He hid.
Yeah.
Very well.
Mm-hmm.
Just.
Yeah, he ran He-Man through. So while he was still in his Prince Adam form, he hadn't finished the words, so he didn't become He-Man yet. And bam, dead again.
Yeah.
Again.
This show is so
Again.
weird. They killed He-Man, who is normally like the main character of the show, not once, but had the insight to do it twice.
Yes. Okay, after that, Skeletor's like, all right, Evelyn, come on. I have the sword now. And she goes with him. And then Skeletor gets the power of Grayskull and becomes kind of like this godlike character. He is towering over Castle Grayskull.
Wait a minute. So does that mean like he's gonna go to heaven or become the ultimate ruler of hell?
I don't know. Yeah, it ends. There was still, of course, magic being brought back.
Yeah. You could see the magic still being like brought into the room where they're all at.
Yes. And then voila. It ends. Part 1 ends, which, by the way, part 1 is just episode 1 through 5. So there's not a release date yet for part 2.
I get your genetics where it doesn't matter if I like a show or not. If you have me start one, I at least have to finish the season or get know what's going on. Or I get bad anxiety about this.
Yeah, I have to finish it. So, what are your predictions?
Tila is going to become He-Girl? She-Girl? The female version of He-Man, because it seems like that was always the plan, but then Adam came back.
Yeah, but we already have a She-Ra.
Maybe she becomes She-Ra.
Well, I hope not.
It goes from sister to best friend, you know.
I think in the end, she will get the power, but I don't know what she might just say nope, I'm still Tila.
Super strong Tila.
I also think that Prince Adam is going to survive.
Because it doesn't show him dying.
True.
But it shows him getting run through, and I don't think they're very technologically advanced.
Yeah, plus with magic coming back.
They might be able to heal him, but I don't think they're that advanced.
Maybe.
They have very different technology than we do at the moment.
Yeah, this is just me, though. I think that Duncan, or Man-at-Arms, will, in the end, sacrifice himself in order to get the sword from Skeletor, and in which case he'll finally have redeemed himself with the kingdom, but
he'll be dead at that point.
I don't think it's a sacrifice that
can walk away from.
Yeah, his character, I think, was always destined to protect everybody, and if that meant giving his life, then he's gonna do it.
I have another question for you. So, before you said that there was a balance between magic and technology in this universe, with magic being gone for 3 years? Okay, I just had to make sure again. 3 years. Will that balance be restored, or will there be that conflict before it can finally figure out?
I think throughout this whole part 2, the people of Eternia are going to have to try to find that balance, but in the end, I think they will once the good guys finally win again. But yeah, there's still going to be that huge conflict. I think Tila will get the power. I think Prince Adam will live the rest of his life as I, once again, don't think he's dead.
He's at least crippled.
Well, he's going to be hurting, but I think that they're going to get that power before he can be fully healed, and he's going to be like, no, you keep it. Yeah.
Do you think if he's not crippled but hurting for a while, do you think that Adam if it's gonna become the same thing that Tila was for He-Man.
No,
Just kind of that
he's gonna
fighting
know.
buddy?
He's gonna know it's
He's
Tila.
gonna know it's Tila,
And
but at
he's
the
still
same
gonna
time,
be he's still gonna be Prince Adam. He might even become king. But I think
it doesn't get into what happens after that first episode. What's going on with the palace? Does it?
No, it doesn't.
Oh.
Other than the fact that the king is banished man-at-arms, Tila quit.
A bunch of people.
Yeah,
He's
and
gone.
that's it. So I think in the end, it's going to be Adam becoming king, and Tila becoming the protector.
That'd be cool.
And I think she's also going to be like, no more secrets. Everybody gets to know this, especially Andrea.
Absolutely, Andrea. I still think she's going to become She-Ra.
And I think Evelyn is...
Not Goodlin.
Yeah, I think Evelyn is just playing Skeletor, and she's going to betray him and team up with Tila in the end. That's just my predictions.
You have to watch the show. Come up with your own conclusions. Tell us if we're right or wrong.
But we'd love to hear from you.
Scenery! Man!
Oh, the scenery. So, He-Man it's been known for, you know, those beautifully painted backgrounds, as well as those play sets that from Mattel that never really appeared in the original show.
And characters.
Stinkor.
It was such a weird moment.
Stinkor played by Jason Mewes. So these places, like you had Castle Grayskull, but then
you had underneath Castle Grayskull.
Yeah, those were all play sets growing up that they never got to actually appear in the show. So now it was cool to actually see them. They basically took the play sets and were like, nope, this is exactly how everything looks, and they added it. It was priceless. We need to give this a rating.
Ooh. I don't remember the original He-Man. Once again, I was 6. Don't come after me. I don't remember it.
Okay. Compared to the original, I did like the fact that the original was, you didn't have to watch everything in order. It was not episodic. It was just, every episode was a standalone. This one, it was, you know, a continuation.
Absolutely.
So they kind of switched that up a little bit. But 5 episodes, it was about 2.5 hours total. So it was like watching a animated He-Man movie, part 1. As far as the voice acting, priceless.
Phenomenal.
So good. I also didn't mind the fact that they killed off several main characters from the original show.
Because you knew it was going to happen.
Well...
you knew Adam was going to happen.
I knew Adam was going to happen. But other than that, the other deaths were... They were relatively predictable, but they did it in a very good way.
Yeah. I feel like if everyone got saved on that, it'd be convenient.
It wouldn't
make sense, and it would just be convenient for everything.
I would have to say, already knowing what was going to happen, I would say it would probably be a good 7 out of 10. But had I not known, I would have to say, oh, you ruined my childhood, which would have dropped it down to probably a 2 or 3 out of 10. Yeah. But I knew, and I was already prepared for it, and I enjoyed it. I just wish they would make a flippin' Thundercats. Oh,
Thundercats! That took me a second to register.
We're not going to get into that.
Thundercats.
Or a Voltron, like a live-action Voltron movie. How awesome would that be? Well, I think that's it for us. I would highly recommend it. What about you?
I really liked it. It wasn't a 10 out of 10. It wasn't like a 5 out of 10. It's somewhere in the middle for me. I would recommend it. like I said before, form your own opinions. Tell us if you think we're right or wrong. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's going to be it for us. So if you want your own account with CryptoComics for free, go to CryptoComics.com/signup.
Like, share, and hit that subscribe button. See y'all next time.
See you in the funny pages.